So today I'm going to talk about one of the worst hair transplant results I have ever seen. And don't think this result came from one of the smaller clinics or some obscure clinic. This actually came from one of the big clinics. And make sure you stay all the way to the end because I'm going to reveal the 3 reasons why this hair transplant has failed so that you can learn for your own hair transplant and have the best chance of success. Let's go. My name is Jabril, I'm a pharmacist and I used to work in the hair loss industry, so this is the only channel on YouTube where an actual healthcare professional is giving you advice about hair transplants. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe. Let's kick things off. I don't know this guy, I don't know how many grafts he had or how much he paid. All I have is the pictures and I also know the clinic that he's been to. So let's start with his pictures, starting with the pictures from the front. So I'm going to point out a few things about this frontal picture. So this is obviously after he's had his hair transplant, and there's a few things. The first one is you can see the density is not really great. The hair is kind of really wispy and thin, especially on the sides. The other thing you can notice is the density is uneven. So the hairline here is quite straight and fairly thick here as well, but then you have this central area here which is quite thin. Now, in some people, this can be a natural way their hair growth, that the hair right in the center of the hairline is quite thin and then it sprouts further back into the scalp to get, and gets thicker. But in this case, it just looks a little bit odd that the hair is thinner in the middle and thicker to the sides of the hairline. Well, the front is not looking too great, so now let's hope things get better when we have a look from the side of the head. So a couple of things jump out of this picture immediately. The first one is the crown. The crown is in a really bad state. He's either had no work done here, no transplants here, or he's had very, very, very low number of grafts because it's just essentially bald, really. The second thing that really jumps out of this picture straight away is this area here. So this area here, just above his ear, is patchy, is thin, and it's slightly redder than the rest of his scalp. So that's something we notice straight away. There's another area here just below the red patch that is quite thin but is quite neatly trimmed. So that's really interesting. This picture is basically the last picture but flipped over to the right side. So that was the client's left side, this is the client's right side, and you can see it's almost like a mirror image. You can see the crown is even clearer here. It's very, very thin and it's progressing downwards towards the back of the scalp. So we knew that. But the interesting thing is you can see exactly like the patchy red area we saw in the first picture. You can see it here. It's right here. And it actually looks even more patchy than the left-sided picture. And you can also see the neatly trimmed hair on the edge here. So it's basically a mirror image of the left side of the client. So we can say that whatever happened to the left side has definitely happened to the right side. So that is not a coincidence or anything like that. This is some sort of deliberate action. Ouch! Anyway, that was bad enough, but now let's hope things get a bit better when we have a look at the back of the head. So a couple of interesting things from this picture. The first one is we knew the crown was bald, but to be honest, it looks even worse than when we looked at it from the side. Extensive baldness. And the other interesting thing, the more interesting thing, is this area here. If you notice, this area here is just a random area on the back of the head that is thin and patchy. Why is that? Is it because the hair loss is progressing downwards, which is natural, or is it the result of the procedure that he's had? To me, it looks like the result of the procedure because it's just not a natural way for hair loss to progress, because it's progressing through a very thin channel here and then it's spreading outwards down here. It's just not natural. Normally it spreads in a larger area. So I would expect, if this was natural hair loss, I would expect this to be quite thin and then spread downwards. And you can just tell that this is natural progression of hair loss. But this looks to me man-made. This is some sort of something happened here that has stripped it of hair grafts, so it can't be natural hair loss progression, I don't think. Now we're going to have a look at a picture from the front after I think he styled his hair or something. Let's have a look. And this picture is of the front of the hair, I think maybe with some styling, and it looks okay. The hairline looks really good. It's got a nice shape, it's got a nice kind of a nice angle going in. It looks fairly straight, which is fantastic, and the thin central area here that we talked about before, it looks quite good. It kind of blends in. It just looks like a natural hairline with this thin area here, because as I said, a lot of people with their hairline, they tend to be thin in the middle anyway. So this is a really good result, and even the mid scalp area here is not looking as bold as it did in the previous pictures. So whatever he did here, he definitely looks a lot better from the front. Obviously the crown is still bold, but the front is looking much better. By the way, if you're watching this and you are planning a hair transplant and you're thinking, oh god, I really want someone to advise me through this journey, I have successfully helped 103 clients to date have their dream hair transplant results in places like Turkey, in Europe and in North America. If you want to be one of those clients, you want to consult with me, you can fill in a very quick form that takes about 40 seconds. The link is in the description below. Once I have the form, I'll have a look at it and I'll get back to you. Let's talk about why this particular hair transplant failed. I think there are 3 reasons why this has failed. The first one is the strategy to begin with was just rubbish. I mean, if you have a failed hair transplant, something has gone wrong at some point. I don't know the guy, I don't know his circumstances, I don't know whether he did his research or something, but he must have started with the wrong plan. Most ethical clinics would have turned this guy down, because I would have definitely advised him that he's not the ideal candidate for a hair transplant if he consulted with me before, because he's got extensive hair loss and he doesn't appear to have the best donor hair potential. The second reason I think this failed is because of the hairline. The hairline design is just shockingly bad. You have thick hairline at the sides and you have an area in the center where there's kind of thin patchy hair. The hairline looks quite pluggy, so the hairline design has not been the best. But by far the biggest and worst reason this has failed is because number 3, his hair has been over harvested. It is clear as day. You can see it in these in those pictures from the sides of his head. You've got these patchy areas. So whoever has worked on this guy is just a complete amateur. They have no clue what they're doing. They are either a clinic run by substandard, poorly trained technicians, or maybe a poorly trained surgeon who's quite new to the industry. I have no idea. As I said, I don't know the guy, but there really is no excuse for this. And as a result of this, which is quite sad, I don't think this guy has any potential left to have further hair transplants unless he explores things like scalp hair, not scalp hair, beard hair, body hair. I can't see his body, but he appears to have a decent beard, so maybe that's an area he can explore. But apart from those, I don't really know where he goes. I mean, does he have a hair system, a wig, or does he just shave it all off and have scalp pigmentation? I have no idea, but this procedure has really kind of put not the final nail in his hair transplant future, but it really has done a lot of damage. What do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Have you spotted something else that I might have missed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to consult with me, of course, get in touch. Take care. See you soon.